Galaxias is a new manga series that got a one-shot back in 2022. It actually started its run back in July of 2024, and I've been following it for a while. To be honest, it's been something I've been wanting to talk about for a while for multiple reasons. Mostly bragging rights with my friends for when it does get super popular and inevitably, God, gets its anime adaptation, which I'm also looking forward to. And it's currently my new favorite new gen manga that is currently on hiatus, so I recently caught up and now I'm ready to start reviewing it. As of me writing this script, there are 32 chapters and I'm probably going to be reviewing it weekly as I push out my longer form content so you guys can have something to watch. And if there are any other manga that you want to see me cover, let me know. Also, if you've been watching for a while, don't worry, I haven't forgot. I'm still going to be reviewing Gintama, and at some point, I'm going to be doing Trigun and Trigun Maximum. I'm not sure when, but they will be this year. I'm just not entirely sure when I'm going to do it. I'm also going to be doing a history of Rebecca Chambers, just like I did with my Leon video, and I'm also going to be doing a long-form video on the PS1 Devilman video game, and maybe either Musashi, Samurai Legend, or God Hand. I haven't really decided yet, but those are what you should be expecting this year. There are so many things I want to talk about on this channel. I just hope you guys stick around so you guys can actually see it happen. And I'm pretty excited to do it myself, so let's get those subscribers up, you know? Anyways, enough of that. Let's just get straight into it. I'm going to explain this now so we don't have to go over it later, but in the world of Galaxias, there are people called dragon folk, and they're basically people with dragon tails that have their own abilities. Think devil fruits from One Piece. They're more akin to that than anything else. Now you might be wondering, how do people get these dragon tails? Where do they come from? Well, I don't know. We don't know yet. We're only like 32 chapters into this manga, so whatever questions you have just haven't been answered yet. So keep that in mind. Galaxias opens up with one of our protagonists as he writes in his journal and jumps off the ship because he forgot to pay the fare for his trip. He reminds me a lot of late Dragon Ball Goku and Fairy Timeskip Luffy. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it yet, but as we cover more of the manga, I hope you guys will start to understand where I'm coming from. And if you haven't realized it yet, yes, the art in this manga is fucking amazing. I wish that I could just have some of these panels as posters in my room, and I would just frame them. They look so beautiful. I cannot wait to see this manga get an anime adaptation. Now, focus shifts to an island where we meet another one of our main characters, Gio. And she is pretty fucking awesome, and she kicks some major ass. And I would say she's a breath of fresh air to women protagonists in manga. She's trying to escape so she can go on her own journey, but she's stopped by a dragon folk, the mayor of the town, Mayor Haley. They argue because he doesn't want her to leave, and he also happens to be her father. And someone important is mentioned, Yuri Holst. We really don't know much about him yet because remember, this is a newer manga that only has 32 chapters, but from what we know, he spent decades exploring all unknown places in the world. He's a lot like Gene Frakes from Hunter x Hunter and Goldie Roger from One Piece. Cut to Geo fishing and she pulls out a book called Galaxias, and she just so happens to catch the guy from the ship that fell into the water earlier. It can be learned that he actually doesn't remember anything about himself. It all just disappeared one day and he doesn't even remember his own name. When he realized he couldn't remember anything, he just started his journey, boarded a ship without paying, and jumped into the sea. Gio takes him to a lighthouse with a ton of books, and we learn that our nameless guy has actually been journeying for more than 375 days, and he's been compiling everything he's learned in a notebook. As you can see, he drew a crab that lives in a bud shell, and Gio gets frustrated that she's lived her entire life stuck on an island, unable to explore anywhere, only seeing things through books written by the greatest adventurer Yuri Holst. And she turns to the 47th day to when he learned how to read, and this moment is what got me hooked on Galaxias. I've read a lot of manga, and it usually takes me 4 or 5 chapters for me to get hooked onto them. And it's moments like these is what keeps me reading. I know a lot of you are newer to manga and anime, and a lot of you guys watch anime for the hype fight scenes, and that's fine. But I more personally look for more character moments, or moments of growth. But also remember that Galaxias is inherently a battle shonen, so the hype moments that you guys are looking for are also here as well. And in a couple pages, we're going to be seeing them. But another thing that really made me love Galaxias isn't just its characters, it's its journey and its world. Because Galaxias reminds me a lot of One Piece, and One Piece is a epic, it's a journey. a journey to find the One Piece, and Galaxias reminds me a lot of it, and I'm sure from when we cover more chapters, you guys will be seeing it as well. And it might even remind you guys of early Dragon Ball if you guys have ever watched or read it, which I do recommend you guys do as well. Anyways, here's a Saltburst that definitely wasn't left behind by dragon folk. Cutting back to Geo and our currently nameless protagonist, he asks her, what does she want? And Geo answers that she wants to go and that no one will get in her way. Cutting back to the village, a fisherman asks Haley, why doesn't he just let her go? But he says that the village would fall apart and he wouldn't let her leave unless she was able to land a clean hit on him. Cutting back to Geo, she names our nameless protagonist Nereid, who just so happens to share the name of the hero from the book Galaxias. And for those who don't know, Nereids are actually benevolent sea nymphs in Greek mythology. They symbolize the beauty of the sea, and in mythology they are also known for helping out sailors. And they were also companions of the god of the sea, Poseidon. He says he'll make good use of it, and ventures off into the sea with a life ring. And Geo decides she's going to confront her dad, so she can go on her own journey. However, ominously, he's already there, covered by shadows. Bag in hand, he tells her she has permission to leave. Turns out he was bleeding, and his bones were protruding out of his body in a pretty horrific way. Turns out the guy who did it was a dragon knight named Yerkes, and he's here to execute Geo, revealing that she was the daughter of Yuri Holst, and Yuri had murdered a king, and that for retribution, their children and grandchildren must be executed. And Geo realizes why Haley never let her leave the island. It was all to protect her. And here begins the first fight of the series. Yerkes overwhelms Haley, ready to execute him. Geo has a flashback to when she was young, and when Nereid asks what she was going to do. She picks up a rifle, opening fire on Yerkes. He declares that it's now personal, and that she's a traitor to the Dragon King's government. And then there, Geo decides to live for herself, and decides to fight, running at Yerkes and spitting out a rifle round and hitting it so hard that it sets off right in his face, and then proceeds to kick him right in the fucking ballsack. See that? I'm telling y'all, she can fucking cook. She runs to Haley as Yerkes gets back up, but my goat Nereid gets into the fight, getting in front of Yerkes, and I forgot to mention earlier, he calls her boring for not having left the island, but declares her not boring in the slightest. He saves Geo and Haley, and we get one of the hardest panels in this chapter. And let me just say, the art in this manga is so fucking good. I can't wait to see Galaxias get a fucking anime, dude. I can't fucking wait! Yerkes tries to throw attacks at Nereid, surprised he too is also a dragon folk. But they miss, and Nereid launches himself at Yerkes and knocks him the fuck out, saying that he don't give a shit about none of that, leaving that brother spread out in the water. Yeah, Nereid, he is built different. After knocking out Yerkes, his ability wears off with Haley, and Nereid asks Geo if she wants to go with him. She looks back at Haley, and he says, do as you like, feeling that he had failed as a surrogate parent. But she punches him, saying, no matter what happens to me, this is where I will return to. And she sets off with Nereid. I'm telling you guys gotta read this manga, bro. Catch up before the anime onlys come in when the anime drops, bro. Trust! So now you might be wondering, Toad, is this the end of the video? And I'm here to tell you, no, I love you too much to say that. And that now we're gonna be going over the one-shot. I know. I accept handjobs in the comments. Now this chapter is titled One Shot, and it's really different compared to the main series, but you're going to see some familiar faces. The One Shot opens up with Nereid Kuiper. He looks a lot more serious, kind of like Sasuke, and he lives alone in a lighthouse. And we learn that dragons exist here through a radio, and that one has been killed by an artillery shell. Nereid heads to a recycling shop where we meet the shopkeeper, Neil Zeiss, and it's revealed that Galaxias is actually a country and not the name of the book. And we also learn that dragon attacks have been fairly frequent over the past 100 years due to the increased aggression. Neil offers Nereid an assistant spot to study dragons, but he turns it down saying he doesn't care for them at all. And it turns out, a dragon had actually destroyed parts of the city and had killed Nereid's family, burning them into charcoal, leaving after turning the spot down. He passed by the body of a supposedly dead dragon, surprised that it's on the beach. However, the body starts falling apart, revealing a human with a tail. Surprised at what just happened, he takes her into his lighthouse. We also see that Nereids live-in situation isn't the best, and that his job is to manage the foghorn on bad days with visibility, to help guide ships to land. The next day, he takes her to Weiss at the recycle shop, and he explains that dragons don't release any energy when they die, and that it's likely that moments before her death, the dragon had exchanged her huge, inefficient body for a miniaturized human body, and that dragons tend to possess special abilities, and that this probably had something to do with her life force. Neil then says he has to take care of her and names her Geo. Ah, see, look at that, the roles are reversed. Nereid now has a dragon little sister, and it's actually going to be an experiment to see if they can save the world with love. And Nereid, being the downer he is, assumes that Geo is just going to end up killing someone. Nereid takes Geo around collecting scraps to turn in for money at the recycling shop. Nereid then takes Geo to his family's graves, and we learn that his dad was actually a university student, and that Zeiss was actually one of his pupils, and that he respects him a lot for looking over him after his family had died. We also learn the names of Nereid's two siblings that died, Lemina and Yerkes, which is a name that you should recognize from chapter 1. Nereid says he hates dragons so much and that he wants to kill them all. Reminds me of someone, and that he wants his old life back. He contemplates his feelings, then Geo eats one of the flowers from one of his family's graves, saying they taste great. I'll have to check that for myself sometime, but anywho, Nereid just seems to get more annoyed with Geo until she asks if he wants her gone. But before he can give her an answer, a ship is thrown their way, and it turns out it's another dragon attack. But Geo had saved Nereid before he was crushed. He screams out at the dragon, wanting it to leave. But Geo tells him not to be sad, and says, "Let's talk again sometime." Saying goodbye, Geo runs towards the dragon, transforming into her previous form, all to protect Nereid. I have to say this again, but the art is fucking amazing. Geo starts fighting the enemy dragon. As Neil finds Nereid, he says that the government is going to drop the atomic bomb, and that Geo was fighting so that Nereid could get away. Geo fights against the dragon so hard that soldiers around her start cheering her on without knowing why. Nereid runs to the lighthouse, calling out to her to defeat them all, so she could come back to him. Geo defeats the dragon and follows the light of the lighthouse, returning to her human form. And then the one-shot ends with the two at a ramen shop, and a shot of the lighthouse. The one-shot is far different from the main serialization of the manga, but I still enjoyed it for what it is. But I implore all of you to read Galaxias' manga and its one-shot, because I truly think it's deserving of all of your guys' time. I'm just here delivering it to you. While I hope you guys enjoyed and are excited for next week when I cover Chapter 2, I want to try to make this a weekly thing so I'm able to put some stuff out while working on my other projects. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave a comment in the comment section. I want to read all your guys' thoughts, and recommend me any more manga to read. I might end up covering them for a video. And this doesn't mean I've given up on my longer form content. That is still going to come out. But thank you all for watching, and have a great day. Bye bye!